Good morning, everyone. Okay, let's get cracking and look at these markets. So, there have been actions taken to maybe chill the oil market, but let's get on and have a look at what's the numbers first. In terms of reporting yesterday, inflation higher in the US, the eurozone than expected. There, 2.4 versus 2.2. The flash estimate here, 1.9. It sits just below the 2% target, so that's okay. But it has risen quite, I say sharply, 0.2, but it has risen. Australian data, GDP coming in higher than expected there, so again good numbers for Australia. The ADP non-farm payrolls are due today. As useful as a chocolate teapot as they are, they still move the markets at times, so be careful. At 1:15, 3 o'clock, we got the services PMI for the US there, so it's less of a mover, to be fair. Right, of course we've got leading into non-farms on Friday. Right, let's get on and look. I'm saying that, and hopefully they were actually there. Right, let's look at this euro dollar first, then go through the Forex. So yesterday we caught the bounce. I mean, it bounced eventually off its monthly S3 here. It's caught a bit of a bounce, but am I convinced that this is stopping? Well, we'll see. It also had its quarterly S1 there as well, giving support. So a bit of confluence effectively through the pivots from a 60-minute point of view. Let's have a look. It's trying to put a higher low in here, or has put a higher low in here. Actually hasn't closed above it. It's running into resistance into the form of the 34. We've got the 50 to run yet. I'd watch this carefully. This could stall where it is, as I say, particularly with these key moving averages. Yesterday, did it do much more? It did start breaking down. Actually, one thing I missed yesterday was it was into its S1s here, and the pivots hadn't been touched, which once the S1 actually gets hit, and the pivot hasn't been hit, we've got the better probability of the S2 being hit. That did get hit quite quickly, but not a lot of meat there. But anyway, we'll see what happens today. Here at the moment, I'm not totally convinced of a turn here, so we'll wait see on that. The pound, similar picture here. It's short term, the picture's the same. Again, if we see on the 4-hourly, okay, we hasn't sold off quite so much. It's quarterly pivots. It's just back above the quarterly pivot. Actually, it's just sort of come back here. It did find support into the S2, monthly S2 here. Again, it hadn't hit its monthly, so it's hit it breaking the S1 on the monthlies. Saw the S2 hit. 70% chance of that happening, so it's got a good probability. From where we're sitting at the moment, it's a bit, trying, as I say, giving us that little higher low coming through here. Now this has broken through the 50, etc. With the lower highs, lower lows that have kicked through previously, I'm not overly liking this, but we'll see what happens post 8 o'clock and see if it can push up towards that R1. If it can close above the 50, it's got a bit more potential, but it is against the news effectively, and everything else that's sitting there. The US dollar yen, well, let's have a look at what's going on here. So breaking, sorry, I was just reading or Dino. Okay, sorry, someone giving me penny stock ideas there. Why hasn't it already run on the price of oil? I would ask. It's still sitting down at 60p. sorry, this yen then. We're breaking the near-term highs here. It's taken out. It's still got further highs. As I say, you said yesterday, it's between a rock and a hard place here, because this has the potential of being shot down effectively by the Bank of Japan getting involved, but perhaps they're leaving it, bearing in mind it's risk built by things outside of their control a little bit here. But we'll see what happens. But it's not looking attractive as a trade for me. Aussie dollar. In normal circumstances, if that yen had been coming up there and it starts putting signals in on the short side, I'd be looking to take them. Bearing in mind it's towards the roof of comfort, but as it sits, no good. Australian dollar, well, it's hanging in there, isn't it? It's trying its best. The data's been quite good. It's a similar picture to what we're on the short-term time frames here. It hasn't come up and taken the high out here. Take the high out, well, maybe it will follow suit, but again, this one's running to the 34, so just holding back a little bit at the stage. Not attractive to me quite yet. So it, as ever in these mornings, and pre this war, it was a waiting game in the mornings anyway. However, we were seeing opportunities at times for the trades if they did set up, and that's all I'm looking for here. US dollar CAD at the moment. See, I'm looking for that. I'm waiting to see if this can break down through the pivot there on the monthlies at some stage. Anything that was good news that would sort of start driving that's fine. It's just holding steady at the moment. It's really not tradable, but it's holding steady. It might come into something. New Zealand dollar, I don't know really what I'm looking at this. It's not, to me, I'd rather trade the Aussie. It's quite correlated, and the Aussie generally gives better moves than it is at the moment, so I'm not really too keen on that. Swissy recovered a couple of days ago to a degree, so it's a couple of days ago. Last couple of days hasn't recovered, beg your pardon. It's still pushing up there. It's pulled off in the afternoon there yesterday. Not really liking what it's setting at the moment. It's a currency that everyone sees the short side of the Swissy, but even with all this going on, the Swissy hasn't moved to the short side that much, compared to where it was. On the big money, the big sentiment is bearish on the Swissy, so we'd expect to see this US dollar flying. It's proving stubborn. Okay, so not masses there at the moment, but it might not take too much for something to happen. Euro Aussie, I've been following this and been in this for a while. Really not doing a great deal here at the moment. It's trying its best to prove me wrong, but it's overall, this is just one of those that was always a case of patience, and eventually it's sort of been going and going, and I expected it to be quite slow, and it is relatively slow. Short side on the 4 hourly is looking soft there at the moment. A break of these lows here, maybe see something a little bit more, but it's quite choppy at times. Okay, other markets then, we've been looking at gold. Obviously it's up nearly 1.6, well, it's up 1.6 today, but yesterday it ran into the resistance of its, believe it or not, I don't count it as resistance, I don't use these, but it just is 2 standard deviations away from its mean basically. So this is a mean reversal channels that I've put on here, but it's just sort of bouncing back from that, but it is going up slowly, gradually. Bit ugly on the shorter time frames. Horrible yesterday when it came off there. It really is. It's really quite iffy at the moment. Any good news could see this coming off quite sharply. as I say, good news as in end of war, etc. Silver up 3.5%, but it's had a big fall yesterday again, dropping down there. As I say, less related to the efforts, but it does get dragged slightly by gold. But again, maybe it'll push back up to its mean, but there's nothing that makes it look attractive for this lower high at the moment. In fact, a break of these lows over here, or even the pivot itself, or trend line across the lows here, might see people wanting to short this. Right. That is that. Let's go and have a look at the equity markets there, S&Ps. Now the Asian markets have moved down quite sharply apparently. I haven't actually looked at them. I read my news event this morning. Generally when it says it's moved down sharply, I think it's written by an AI tool, because often they haven't moved too much, but anyway. S&P still remain fragile. Lower highs on the 4-hourly were confirmed, but came back with a bounce in the afternoon yesterday. Pretty similar to the currencies really. The euro and the pound really. I mean, it hasn't got quite as high and given us a higher low here. A break back below its quarterly pivot to me would be bearish, but I wouldn't be trading this market until this afternoon. Let's look at the markets we can trade. Let's look at the FTSE. There you go, looking soft still, and soft and soft. It's possibly going to come down towards this cluster of pivots here. It's got a yearly pivot, sorry, quarterly pivot, weekly pivot, S3 sitting there. So got a bit of support that came in yesterday, but it's not attractive to me at the moment. Either way, don't like it. On the short side or long side. The short-term risks to the downside are probably high. DAX, similar picture really. A lot of these markets similar-ish, struggling to get back towards, to give us these higher lows. Be interesting to watch this morning, see how it reacts back into its pivot. It could be an opportunity if it reacts to that pivot. I mean, this is an hourly chart. I'd let the hourlies roll and let's see if it does react there. Again, it could be a bit of an afternoon play. I mean, a lot of this movement, yes, it sort of did a double bottom yesterday. When was that? Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Yeah, double bottomed around that point and got the rally. Even these are moving better. Yes, it is already moving down here. 8 o'clock bar did sell off quite strongly. Again, this had already run through its S2. Certainly looking soft. I'd rather be on the soft side, the downside of this, if it sets something up, whether it be a move into the pivots here, or if it starts breaking down the lows here. See if we can catch something more. Yes, there's potential divergence down there, but the risk of these markets is so high to the downside. Right, I shall leave you there. Not a great deal else. I wish you a great day's trading, and I will catch you tomorrow morning. So I say not a great day in terms of setting up at the moment. In fact, I'm just looking at the euro as I'm talking here and coming down the lower time frames. It just, look, it's reacted. That 34 is holding at the moment. This could be selling off this morning. I give it at least 30 minutes before I take any trades here. But if this starts, or even if you give it the hour and see if this is putting in a pivot swing by the end of that, i.e. if it closes below the low of that 7 o'clock bar, and then we get a continuation, that could be on for a short. Right, I will leave you there. Have a good day. Bye for now.